Welcome to April's Garage. Tyler found an article on Jalopnik. Let me read you the title. These are the most irritating car YouTuber tropes. And there's a list of
I opened it very reluctantly.
Yes.
Very reluctantly, because I was worried that I was going to see my face in this article with pictures and animations and what people highlighted as the most annoying parts of car YouTubers.
Right. Well, but to you, like, who do you have a list? Or are you not allowed to say?
I'm never going to say that. Are you kidding me? I'm not starting any kind of beefs. But of course, there are car YouTubers that annoy the out of me, and I imagine I annoy the crap out of some car YouTubers and some viewers. Obviously, people have different tastes for different reasons, and they don't watch me for whatever. There's definitely some annoyed people with me in the comments, though.
In the comments of this article?
They got mean comments. But
we need a therapist.
Yeah, so there was a list.
Right.
And these were the biggest ones according to Lawrence Hodge of Jalopnik, who published this article.
Must be an expert.
So, number one, why does everything have to be a supercar? Everything supercar. I'm just tired of seeing supercar videos on cars I just can't afford. I'd rather watch something more realistic. I think I've always been that way, though. Even my favorite Top Gear stuff was on the bonkers races with crappy cars, not Clarkson's latest SLS review, which...
Okay, so, like, you might get mad and edit this out, but I've seen some people talk about you and how they're like, oh, he used to buy super Hoopties, and now you're kind of buying nicer cars, and, like... You're rude.
I've never seen that. I've never seen a single comment like that. Never, ever. No, not once. Never. No.
Okay, moving on.
But I think I've stayed pretty true to form as YouTube has grown, and all these cars are 100% paid for by YouTube and you all watching, which is just a freaking miracle.
Sure.
But I buy something nice, but it's sort of the Hoopty version.
It totally is.
I mean, like a Bugatti Veyron is like the highest level Hoopty of all time, as far as all the Volkswagen engineering and the craziness with it. And
well, the hooptiness is when you drove it off the lot and the engine light comes on 3 seconds. It literally
and the
came
low coolant light. Yes, it was very on brand. It was very, very on brand for me. Okay, he's getting in a hypercar. He gets a Bugatti Veyron, which is known for the craziest repairs and maintenance costs ever. So I get that. And
I think all you guys start out with what you can afford, and then when you're progressing in your job, and then of course you're going to buy nicer, more fun toys. That's normal.
Yeah.
Any industry is going to be the same way.
So early into YouTube, I was writing for Doug DeMuro, Daddy Doug, on Auto Trader as well. And I got an Acura NSX. And it was my first sort of supercar, and I thought hopefully the articles and the YouTube videos would fund the payments. I hoped, because I really couldn't afford it otherwise. This is... 2016, 17.
Yeah.
And it did, but it waned because the Acura was such a good car. After sorting it out, then there's nothing really else that happens because it's a Honda and it doesn't break. Okay. So it was sort of a dud in that sense.
Right.
And I traded it for a Ferrari 355. That burned to the ground, and we're off to the races. Here we go.
Okay, great.
So I realized, bad car, good.
Right.
And I've sort of kept in that mostly ever since. Look at all the cars surrounding me right now.
Sure.
So I kind of stick true to that and try to buy, if it's a nice car, then it's like the worst example of a nice car, and try to go through that, or the cheapest version, or a car that's purposely just terrible from the onset, and then trying to make it a usable car. So I don't feel like I've changed all that much. Obviously the budgets have gone up and the risk and the losses have gone up, but obviously it works. Supercars work. But the funny thing is, you can't buy a Lamborghini Gallardo and get views anymore. Like the first, buying a Lamborghini at 25 and it was a Gallardo for $60,000. It doesn't work anymore.
Well,
it's so saturated. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, what's next?
Okay. Sketchy sponsors is the next one.
So these aren't specific YouTubers. These are just things that annoy people in car YouTubing.
Right.
Okay.
And so we talked about this before, where I managed to accidentally miss the Honey thing, which was Honey was a browser edition to get you discounts automatically on stuff. They would know if there's a discount code. It turned out to be really shady and taking away commissions from YouTubers and all that stuff. It was a really bad thing that a lot of YouTubers endorsed, but I didn't because I just forgot to respond to the email. But Yeah, there's a lot of that, and I definitely did establish titles, which is on this list, and that was a gag gift, and I saw it as a gag gift, and the people who thought it was real that they became a lord and lady, well, I'm sorry.
Right.
And then BetterHelp is one that I still continuously do. I'm still doing to this day. I actually use BetterHelp. It did help me. I talked to a therapist for months dealing with issues, so I have direct experience with it. I understand there's some criticisms with it out there, but I feel comfortable endorsing it because of my experiences, and I know that it's helped some other people as well.
When I will say you'll get some sponsors where you're like, that's not online, on brand for me, so I'm going to pass over it.
But
I completely get. But there's like, I'll be watching Whistling Diesel, and he kind of has a video with that chew or dip or whatever packets, and I'm like, that just seems like directly related to him and his whole persona, and that makes sense and doesn't feel like it's being shoved down your throat, where some YouTubers, you obviously know that they're not into whatever they're pushing.
Well, I think, it's an energy pouch or whatever it is, like a thing to chew on that gives you energy, and then there's plenty of boner pill ones, and I turn all those down because, obviously. I'm not getting.
It's okay. What's next? Let's moving on.
So next is having to sell a supercar for some financial reason that doesn't add up.
Okay.
And they use a Stradman thumbnail for this one. Thank goodness they didn't use, because I have used this obviously I need to sell some cars, and I'm going to be selling a lot of cars in the near future to be able to pay the IRS on time and not get in trouble. And people are like, well, how does that compute? Because you just bought a Bugatti Veyron.
Right.
And I mentioned this, the Bugatti Veyron, I'll do a video on the finances of it. It was basically a sign and drive lease. I put no money down. I traded a couple of cars that if I sold the cars outright, I would have had to pay major taxes on the gains, the countage. It would have been a multiple six-figure tax bill on selling that car, just for selling it, and the gains, the income, which is a wonderful thing.
I was saying nobody feels bad for you.
No, nobody feels it, but though, that's why I instead shifted it and traded it towards the Veyron. But I have done this where I say I do need to sell some cars because I'm broke, and it is legitimate. I am broke because I bought some other cars, and I am broke and I need to sell some cars. So when I do that video, it is for real.
Right.
And thank goodness I wasn't the thumbnail for this one. But they say I'm going bankrupt, or I can't afford my house, I have to sell insert car to pay bills. Later in some video, they buy another car but don't pay bills. And then there's a whole multi-paragraph rant about Stradman.
Right.
And,
well, I think the authenticity, you can see through that. And there's so many YouTube videos and saturated, and I feel like the viewer, we get it. We know reality TV isn't reality anymore. It's usually fake and contrived, and people are seeing that sometimes with these videos.
I believe it with James.
Yeah.
100% Stradman. I believe it 1,000%. He bit off a lot in that house, that mega mansion with the big garage, and built it at the worst time with the worst interest rates, and it costed lumber, and the basement's not even finished yet, the landscaping's not even finished yet. It's going through it with all this, I know how hard it is. And then for the same reason, for tax advantages, he got that Koenigsegg.
Right.
And he's making a payment way bigger than me on the Veyron, like triple.
Seriously?
I know, it's insane.
What?
But it's for tax write-off purposes. Everybody says, sell that, and then you don't have that big payment. Well, then he has to pay the taxes because that's offsetting some of his income, that big payment. So it's all
It's a thing.
It's all a juggle. It's all a game.
Right.
To avoid the tax man.
Can we get to the good part where they talk about you?
Well, there's more. Okay. So the next one is the what's going on with whatever, and then channels like That Dude in Blue, or anyone who uses the words what's going on with or ruined or anything close to it. Just basically talking about a topic like what we do, and then doing like a super clickbaity title and thumbnail, which you have to do.
Well, newspapers have been doing that since the beginning of time on their headlines, and that's how you grab and sell newspapers.
If I did a YouTube title of here's what people hate about car YouTubers, I guess that would be a pretty good title. But if I did a normal, you have to do with a clickbait. You have to do the jumpy titles and the jumpy thumbnails to get noticed, because half of your viewership usually isn't subscribed, so you need it to stand out outside of your loyal fan base. Anyway, it's frustrating that people get frustrated over this, but cringy thumbnails is the other one in this. The thumbnails. That's
a bad one.
I can't get past these.
That's a bad one.
I don't watch a majority of the videos. I don't know what happened in the last 5 or 6 years, but the thumbnails have gotten out of hand. Every single one of them has a stupid clickbait title and an idiotic punchable face.
That's a punchable face right there.
And not a single one of the videos actually lives up to the stupid effing titles.
That's what's been frustrating, is where you see some clickbaity thing, and then it's just whatever topic that is barely sprinkled into the actual video. And then you don't want to continue watching that person.
So the guy says in the article, as an example, is like, oh no, I destroyed my car. What would I do next? Or, oh no, I'm installing stolen parts. My life is over. And then he says, F you a-holes. The only car-related YouTuber I still watch is Matt Armstrong. His video thumbnails actually show the real thing that he buys and rebuilds.
That's
so yeah,
cool.
the guy actually buys insanely wrecked, ruined cars.
Right.
And then because he is a massive workaholic and has incredible talent, he's able to rebuild these cars very well in a reasonable amount of time.
That's
so
cool.
that the thumbnails and the videos live up to the hype. Next topic is obsession with wealth. The atrocious obsession with money, expressing everything in monetary value and having to stretch said monetary value to the absurd to attract viewers. A random example. You buy a 10-year-old McLaren that had a $300,000 sticker price, but it appreciated to the point where you picked it up for $100,000-ish. You still get a thumbnail title that is something along the line of, I bought a $300,000 McLaren.
I get that. That makes sense, and it can be frustrating.
Yeah, I do the opposite of that, because I say I bought the cheapest or whatever, or most recently I bought this Tesla Plaid for $100,000 off sticker. So, but yeah, it's pretty.
I don't know. I think like guys that are in their early 20s might be attracted to watch something like that, but it just, anyone else is just like, goodbye.
Yeah. So the next one is hacks that don't actually know what they're doing, and yeah, Scotty Kilmer's the example in the videos, which, you know, Scotty Kilmer does 2 videos a day. 2 videos a day, which is absolutely insane. And obviously, he has a lot of hot takes and has to say something in those 2 videos, and he's not going to be right 100% of the time, but they use him as examples. So they say absolute hacks that somehow make it as YouTube mechanics. I'm not talking about Uncle Tony's Garage or Chris Fix, who are both wrong sometimes about some things, but are genuinely knowledgeable and helpful overall. No, I'm talking about the Scotty Kilmers of the world, who have no idea what they're talking about, but still have a cult following of ignorant sheep.
Do you agree or disagree with that?
I don't watch Scotty Kilmer, so I can't really tell you.
So you're playing it safe right now.
He rants in his driveway and yells at you. Like, I just can't get past someone standing in the driveway and yelling at you.
Right.
Just I'm not gonna. What's up? Why is this? Oh, that's terrible. This car. It's so hard to watch for me personally.
Okay.
So
I'm still waiting for your part.
It's in the comments.
This is taking a while.
There's 108 comments
Yeah.
on this article, and I read through the article and it was like, whew, okay,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Until now.
Until you get to the comments.
What does it say?
Does
it just you? Does it talk about Ed or Tavares at all? Maybe there's more.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here it is. So runs naked with scissors is the guy's username.
That's awesome.
And he says, Hoovie and his fake, I'm so blessed.
I don't even know what that means.
He's really become a used car salesman, with him dumping purchases and promoting some auction site. That says nothing about his car wizard trips, where he expresses shock over $14,000 in repairs and just hands over the credit card.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not really mean. I was expecting something worse.
There's replies in it. But,
oh, really?
But,
okay.
you know,
okay, let's read them.
Daddy Doug, I sell in cars and bids no reserve, and then I work for Barrett Jackson Collector Car Auctions, so I mean, I guess I promote them in some sense. But I rarely profit from my exploits on the back end as far as selling them. The Countach is one of the amazing exceptions, but then, you know, I lose almost $20,000 on a Land Rover Evoque convertible on cars and bids, you know, so
that was bad.
I mean,
that was really bad.
You know.
Okay, so more?
Yeah. So the reply is someone defends me on my auction stuff, but then says the bigger issue with Hoovie is how detached from reality he has become. Him buying the Veyron didn't do so much as push him over the edge. It launched him. He's tried to scrape back by getting some beaters and fluffing them up, but in the end he won't fix them. Because they're not... I can't fix the 335 diesel if that's what they're talking about.
Right.
Because I would love to do a delete of all the emission stuff, but if I documented it on YouTube and said I did it, the EPA loves making examples out of people who publicly do those things, so I'm not doing it.
Of course.
Jake's interested in buying it. I think he's buying it. He's going to try and
don't call him out, because he might do it.
No, sorry, Jake, but I think he's going to try and fix this stuff first, like take it apart and all that stuff. Like Johnny the Car Ninja doesn't have time, and I'm not capable of doing it. But basically, that 335 diesel, due to emission stuff, we talked about this in another video, needed $7,000 in repairs
Which is
because
crazy.
of
That's
the
a lot.
emission scrap, $3,000 for a tank for
Right.
for the stupid.
Not worth
And
it.
then the other BMW was rusted to hell and needed a head gasket or probably an engine to the tune of $4,000 plus whatever else was wrong with it. So, no. No, obviously I'm not going to fix that round, but I'm going through with Frank Sinatra, I'm going through with the Evo, I'm going through with the Hellcat. So I am fixing a lot of the Hoopties. But he continues.
Oh, good.
He just simply crawled up his own ass so far that he doesn't believe he can do anything wrong. I screw up all the time. I screw up all the time.
I like how well he knows you.
And it's pretty damn boring and obnoxious to watch a guy bitch and moan constantly about not being able to afford this or that. He's very guilty of those videos. Yet buying a Veyron. Absolutely zero sympathy or views from me now. Well, I'm sorry I lost you naked running with scissors, man.
That wasn't that bad.
Sorry.
That wasn't that bad. You've had worse. Is there more?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I need something really good.
He
like
said
really
dude was
meaty.
working for his daddy before finding his shtick. No chance YouTube income's paying for all of his stupid purchases. They
no,
are
they are.
1,000% paying for all of it.
Right.
All of it. I worked in Freddy's Frozen Custard, opening franchises all over with my dad was, he's been in the restaurant business basically his entire life.
Right.
And
But you've worked like 24 hours a day.
I worked really hard opening the
Yeah.
restaurants, and due to very high food costs now and high cost of wages and all that stuff, it didn't pay out. This is not something where there's a trust fund or any payout from these restaurants really of any kind of substance at all. It paid for my mortgage and a little bit more, and that's why I started YouTubing and doing a little bit of car flipping on the side after I closed up my dealership to fund my car hobby. So, and then all this, like I said, 1,000% paid for by YouTube.
Well, it's because you're a workaholic, and that's what happens.
I suppose. So, yeah, you go through all the comments, and thankfully they chill out. But the last one at the very end was pretty funny, and it's got a wonderful photo of Ed Bullion.
Oh, he's got a beard going on.
He says, hands down, Ed Bullion, typical used car salesman.
What?
But then it says, don't get me started on Hoovie's BS. And then he said, at least Tavares is still watchable.
Oh,
So he likes Freddie. He's still watchable.
I love Freddie.
So there you go. I survived the Jalopnik article
I'm
of annoying
surprised
YouTubers.
They didn't come at you harder.
Relatively unscathed. But
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
I want to see better next time, okay, commenters?
Please don't. I can't take it.
Let's go.
Please don't.
So rip it up.
You know the comments are right below this, and they're just,
It's fantastic.
I'm fragile.
Thanks so much for watching.
Please don't.
I'm
Please don't.
fragile.
I'm fragile.